Hi, John Harbaugh here with the Harbaugh Coaching Academy. The importance of coaches in the lives of young athletes can never be underestimated, especially today. I hope you enjoy the valuable, practical insights in this interview with our expert coach. And be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Why is coaching the family business?
Because Dad did it. Because of Dwight Perry. Dwight Perry is the reason, I think.
Who's Dwight Perry?
My dad's college coach. Dwight Perry would be on my dad's football Rushmore. You know, that would be Dwight Perry, Bo Schembechler. Who else? We would have to get the other two.
Coach Merle and Crestline.
Yeah, his high school coach. Oh no, my coaching Mount Rushmore?
Sure.
It would be John Harbaugh, Jack Harbaugh, Bo Schembechler, and Dave Adolph.
Do you have one too?
Jack Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, Tom Minnick, who was our Little League coach.
Nice.
Tom Minnick is definitely high
Definitely,
on there. Right
definitely.
There. Good call.
I need 5.
All right, so when we think about building a staff and what goes into coaching, what are sort of the most important qualities you look for to have around you?
Well, you know, when you build a staff, it's like building a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to get people that you know they're really good, right? They got to be great. They got to be great coaches. And they got to be able to relate to their players. They got to be able to kind of keep it light but keep it serious at the same time. Hard-working guys you trust and believe in, guys that you know you're going to have each other's backs when things really get rough. A brother is born for adversity, right? So I would say you want a bunch of brothers around you as a coaching staff.
You say that the two of you have had a lot of crossover. And now your son is going to coach for your former defensive coordinator, who you got from him, who you actually got from him. Why are there so many men that coach for both of you? Do you call each other and say, hey, hire this guy? Or is there a level of trust that if he worked with John, he can work with me?
Yeah, it's very similar. You saw the movie My Cousin Vinny, and Marissa Tomei's up there, and you know my grandfather's a mechanic. My dad was. I had 2 uncles who were mechanics. You know, brothers. All my brothers were mechanics. I mean, that's how I look at our family. You know, my dad was a coach. 2 uncles were coaches. My brother's a coach. My sister's married to a coach. Son is a coach. We have nephews that are coaches. It's to me, it's like my cousin Vinny, not mechanics but coaches.
So it's interesting that you say this. Let's pretend that we're in an imaginary world in the future. Mm. You've won more Super Bowls. You've won as many Super Bowls as you want, and you decide to coach together. And let's say John's the head coach. What role are you assigning Jim?
Offensive coordinator, assistant head coach.
Let's switch the other way. What role are you assigning John?
No, that's the beauty of John. You know, he is. He could be the
Jack of all trades.
He could be the offensive coordinator. He could be the special teams coordinator, or he could be the defensive coordinator. He's coached tight ends. He's coached running back. He's coached outside linebackers. He's coached secondary.
He's not saying my favorite.
Maybe Jim, instead of being my offensive coordinator, should be my agent. You know, that's a very impressive resume right there.
I'd be happy to. He's really, I mean, the most well-rounded coach of any I've ever met. And I've really tried to emulate your career in training my own son Jay. You know, he's been in video. He's been in the weight room. He's coached the running backs, the tight ends. He's coached the safeties. He's coached the special teams, as an assistant and a special teams coordinator. When I was really like giving him advice on coaching, it was to emulate John's coaching career.
That's pretty high praise right there.
It's high praise. That's high praise. We believe in one another.
True.
It's true. I couldn't think of a better. We'd be co-head coaches. We'd have to do it that way. We'd be co-head coaches. Yeah, but and then, well, just like when we were kids, we didn't agree on something. We just wrestled it out, you know. Although, you know, I don't know. The last time we wrestled, he took me down, and we haven't wrestled since. So he's got the last pin.
And that was how long ago?
It was when I was 27. I think Jim was 25 or 6.
I don't remember. I mostly remember like there's typical brother stuff. I mean, you know, okay, we got one candy bar. We're going to split this candy bar. I mean, there's rules in place. You know, one person splits it, and the other person gets to choose.
Yeah, he says that. But before that, when we did it was take a bite of the candy bar. No, we got to that. We evolved to that. But what we used to do, it'd be the candy bar, and you'd say, "Can I have a bite of that?" And we'd like, okay, and you put your hand on it, because if you just gave him the candy bar to take a bite, you'd have a bite left.
Right.
Or I would have bites, either way. So we'd put our finger right there, and they'd say, okay, here's your bite. Just take your bite.
We should have had candy bars.
Right.
Well, actually, I mean, how about just yesterday? Just yesterday, we go to Chick-fil-A. I get a sandwich.
That's right.
You get a sandwich. Dad gets a sandwich. My son Jack had already eaten 12 nuggets, so he
And fries.
So he didn't want all of his sandwich. So we took turns taking bites out of the extra
We
sandwich.
passed it around.
I saved you a spot. You don't bite over another man's bite.
You don't overbite. You don't overbite. You got to have a clean bite.
Okay, so this leads me to two different directions. We'll start with this one. You are so fortunate that you have each other and your dad, that this is the family business. But when you think about mentorship in general, why would you advise young coaches, find someone you can trust, find someone that you can have this sort of rapport with?
Yeah, it'd be the same thing. I mean, coaches to me should be like players. I mean, what coaches expect from their players, you know, they should aspire to the same thing. I mean, with a player, the advice is, you know, find somebody that's really taking care of their business, really doing things right, and watch them, study them, and then emulate them, copy them, and then try to go make them proud of you. So I see no difference in giving that same advice to a young coach.
Do you feel very conscious of that right now, where you are in your career, that my job is to also develop younger coaches?
Absolutely, and you got to be intentional about it, especially in this league, but at any level. You got to find young people, and you got to work to find coaches. Nick Saban, I just had a conversation with Nick just recently, and talking about what he did, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but he said one of the hardest things was at this point was he had so much success. They were losing coaches at such a high rate, and he had to replace them at such a high rate. He both had to find them and train them. He said when he was 35 years old, he knew all the great 35-year-old coaches. He said now that he's in his 70s, he knows all the great 70-year-old coaches, but he doesn't know the great younger coaches. So finding them is one thing, training them was another, and then losing them and having to start all over again. It got to be a big challenge, but it's a worthwhile challenge. So like, we've got to go out and find the young coaches who want to do it. But also, this is one thing to me that's come up with younger coaches, and you played kind of through these years. But when you're in your 20s, mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s, you're really like anxious about your career and where it's going. You're worried about it. Am I going to get the next step? Am I going to get the next job? I was at the University of Cincinnati for 8 years and couldn't get any kind of a look at any kind of a job. You start thinking, I don't have what it takes. I'm never going to get an opportunity, and you worry about it. So something comes along, and so coaches will come walking in and they'll think, you know, I need to have this title, or I need to go to this place, or should I consider this option to go coach in college or somewhere? And you should think about everything. But really, rather than worry about that or get on the phone or make a bunch of calls, the old networking thing, you know, networking and coaching, not so good. Your film, what you do, what the people who work with you say about you, who are with you every single day, that's really your resume, that's your network. And so just tell the guys, just relax, work hard, do the best you can, you know, be intentional about making this job great, being great at what you're doing here, helping us win. Everything will work out in the end. It's easy for old guys to say that looking back, but you know what? That's how it worked. Yeah. And we have the benefit of looking back on all that stuff.
Yeah, the other thing I would add too is, I mean, to his point, I mean, just growing that pool of coaches. And, you know, people that want to get into coaching, players who played, trying to, you know football really well. I mean, you can be up to speed here in a year, you know. Your playing career was your resume. And women. I found at Michigan that it happened in 2018-19. Brenda Tracy, I know who talked to your team, she talked to our team, and it just really opened my eyes to like this perspective that women have. So from there, I just 5-6 women onto the staff. I mean, I had a graduate assistant coach, had a strength coach, had a nutritionist, operations. Christina DeReuter, I mean, she's a star. You know, wanted to make her my chief of staff, but like just for young coaches, same thing you tell players. You know, like if you don't want to be left out, help out. So that hit me.
That's good.
That hit me when in 2017, my son John, who I named after my brother, was born, and he's about 6 months old, and everything you're doing is for that baby. You know, it's like mom, me, and then I got these other kids. You know, 3 older kids. You know, that are still in the house, like. Play catch with me, Dad, or, you know, take me here, Dad, or let's go do this, Dad. And it finally hit me to say, like, I'll tell you what, if you don't want to be left out, help out. Like, do the dishes for your mom. You know, that'll save her a half an hour. You know, help me cut the grass. then I'll have an extra half hour to play with you. And it resonated with them, and then they started doing it. So I started doing that with players and coaches too.
Yeah.
Like, find something to do.
Right.
If you don't want to be left out, you're over there on the side, like, jump in, do a study, coach somebody, you know, watch it, come up with an idea, a concept, hold a bag, you know, do a cut up, do a project. So, you know, that's something I think, not just in football, probably in, you know, looking at this crew here filming this, right? You know, like, you want to be a part of it. I mean, jump in, do something, believe in something, and start working at it. Just start working at it instead of being so worried about how you're going to manipulate the situation, or who's going to recommend you, or, you know, what you have to do to, like, you know, gain favor. I mean, get in there and do some work.
Well, how much, when you think about what you are coaching, not schematically, but just what you have to do as a coach, whether it's of your coaches or of your players, how much do you think that has changed in all your years of coaching? Is coaching today very different than it was when you were at the University of Cincinnati?
I personally, maybe Jim would feel differently. Jim played, so he's seen it from both sides for longer. To me, yeah, I think some things have changed, like the way the game is played, how much you practice, sometimes in the way coaches relate to one another, but I would say fundamentally no, because people really haven't changed. And this generation is really awesome. This generation is an amazing generation. They know more, they're smarter, they have a better big picture, worldly view of things. They understand how to relate to one another in different kind of better ways. And I think so we've had to do a really good job as coaches of just kind of keeping up with just the idea that you can be better as a coach. You can't just roll it out there and just say, I'm the coach, so do as I say. But I don't know that it was really ever like that. People talk about Vince Lombardi, then I read about Vince Lombardi and I read about the relationships he had with his players, and how he cared about his players and their families, how he had them over to his house, all those different kind of things that we grew up with. I mean, Dad would have his players to our house every Thursday night with their wives or their girlfriends. If they had kids, they'd be at the house. And we're looking up at these guys, and they're our heroes, the Derek Howards of the world, those guys that are still in our lives today, you know. That to me is what it's all about. It's still about relationships, it's about caring for people, but we're opening up the doors a little more. Like Jim said, women. That's a whole pool of talent out there that is available to coach sports. I saw a women's coach for the Pacers just the other day on the bench. I don't know her name, but I saw her coaching on the bench out there, and I said, wow, you know, that's a pretty cool thing. And she was coaching the players during the game. So
the players don't have a problem with it.
I would add, you know, no, they don't, because I mean, it's like what John said. I mean, he's talked. He used the word family there numerous times, right? So, like, my two great loves in my life are my family at home and my family at work, my team, and both are the same. You know, I mean, I don't treat the players on the team any differently than the kids at home, and I don't treat the kids at home any differently than, you know, the players. I want what's best for them. I want them to be the best version of themselves, so they can get to the point where they can take care of themselves. They're not afraid of any challenge or taking on any new challenge. And, you know, I think back over my life, I mean, family is really important to me, and been blessed with an incredible family. We've always been close. Grew up with a mom who was very loving, and father who was very loving and supportive, and a brother who was, and my sister was, and I also got support and love from my grandparents, from my uncles, my aunts, my cousins. So it was all very important. And then, like, if somebody was hurting, somebody was going through a hard time, then we were all hurting. You know, if somebody was rejoicing about something, then we were all rejoicing. So, and we've always been close, and we've stayed close. And another thing I add to whatever I've done in my life or been privileged to do, my family has always been there, taking pride in that and helping. So why should that be any different than your great love, your family at work? And that's your team. That's your team at work, that's your team at home, and you treat both the same.
Let's switch to sort of a football kind of question. How do you balance your core central tenets? Do you think that your core central tenets about the game of football are the same? I know you said that they came from your dad, the way that you play defense. How do you balance your core central tenets with the way the game is evolving and not ever being a slave to any one scheme? How do you say, okay, we'll stay true to the way we believe the game should be played, but still adjust, evolve, adapt?
Yeah, so I mean, to me, let's take this back to Vince Lombardi. You know, it's blocking and tackling, those two highly fundamental things. I mean, in the players doing their job, coaches doing their job, combined with a superior athlete that's playing the technique and doing the fundamentals and playing within the defensive scheme or the offensive scheme. We get all 11 in the ultimate team game. You know, playing together as a team. That's the core tenet. You know, that the team. And then there's other ones too. You know, for me as a coach, it's like I'm an advice giver now. You know, I put myself in other people's shoes and you know, coach them on, you know, how to be the best version of themselves as a football player and off the field too. I mean, I coach that as well. And just don't get bitter, get better. You know, that would be a core tenet. Maybe you want to jump in here. I mean, there's attacking each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
Right.
I mean, going through life that way. That's what I learned from my dad. And I've watched my brother do. And the coaching profession. I mean, for anybody that's listening to this, I would like it's a great profession. It's a worthy profession to be about something that's not about yourself. You know, to be about the team, to be about your brothers in coaching, the players that you're coaching, and dive in. Don't worry about the criticism. Don't worry about the pressure. You know, believe in something, and then get in there and start working for the good of the team. You know, because there is something incredible about, you know, we win. You know, what's the hive survives. You know, what's good for the bee is good for the hive. What's good for the hive is good for the bee. To be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, I mean, that's like a family. Is an incredible feeling.
There's a lot of sayings here. Have you ever taken anything?
I use them all. I try to use them all. You know, we have a lot of it's intermingled. Like we do sometimes argue about like who was the first one to say it, you know, and bring
Such
it back.
as?
Well, we just tie it. I don't know. Was there one that you stole? Or I stole the one that I stole from him. Was the days are long, but the years are short. I did steal that from him.
You finally admit that.
I tried.
He finally admitted it. That's awesome. We're on camera. That's awesome.
Yeah, your turn's coming up next.
What about a play? Have you ever taken a play from John?
I took his whole defense. I took his whole defensive system. It was so good. And in 2021, I go, you know, John, I mean, I need your defense, you know, like, and I was hiring a defensive coordinator. I'm getting these recommendations from people in the football world that I really trusted, really respected, people that I'd been with and worked with and thought were great. And my brother said, "Yeah, I got two guys. I mean, you should really do the Ravens defense. You know, myself and I think Wink and some other guys. I mean, you put it together, you know, from the.
So what does that look like? Did you go from like do film sessions together? Did you?
Yeah, and I talked to him. I said, you know, and he said, recommend two guys, Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter. One was their linebacker coach, and then Jesse Minter was in the secondary at the Ravens. So I called them both, interviewed Mike, and you know, first, and I kind of got down the road with Mike, and like I love Mike. You know, I want to hire Mike. John, can I have Mike? Well, yeah, I was going to make him my next coordinator, but you know, he said to me, you know, I like Michigan, but I love you. So you know, that's what I've taken huge things.
But then how did he get Jesse
brother.
Also?
So Jesse, what happened was Mike came to Michigan as the defensive coordinator, and then Jesse went to Vanderbilt as the defensive coordinator. So he had an incredible year there of calling the defense. So when the season ended, we had a great year in 2021, won the Big Ten championship, beat Ohio State, go to the CFP. John calls me up and says, handing Mike McDonald back.
That's true.
He's like, he's like, is that okay? I go, yeah. I mean, you gave it to me, so you know. So as soon as he took Mike back, then I was like, Jesse Minter, same defense over at Vanderbilt. Got on the horn to Jesse and talked to Jesse and hired him, and then it was really seamless. They had different takes on the defense. You know, one was really more of a Jesse, more of a secondary view down of the defense. Mike in the linebackers, kind of that middle view of the front and the back end. So they're both great.
Can we break news here? The Chargers are going to run the Ravens defense?
We're going to run the Ravens defense. That's exactly right. Yeah, we've been running it. That's what we've been doing. There's probably every coach that studies the films can look and say, okay, Michigan's been running the Raven defense. You know, 21, 22, and 2023, and in an historic, 40-3, using the Ravens defense. And it's the best. It's the best scheme. It's got answers. It's got answers for everything. You don't get you're not exposed, on any really big plays, and it's just great defense. You've proven that.
You do it right.
Yeah, he did it right. So
play it right.
I definitely will forever be appreciative and proud that my brother gave us that Raven defense.
You always say that if you're not growing, you are staying still, basically. So when you look at your brother now, since the last time he was in the National Football League, how is he different as a coach?
No, I mean, he was a great coach then. Well, you watch their offense in those years, and then we had to go play him in the Super Bowl. I didn't know what some of the plays were. I was watching the plays that they were running on offense, and I'm just like, what is that play? There's a counter over here, there's a read over there, there's a pass over there. It was just a brilliant thing that they put together in San Francisco, and at Stanford before that. It was challenging, it was all-encompassing. They had Colin Kaepernick doing it, Alex Smith did it before that. I remember they would come up with these amazing plays in the most critical situations. They're playing the Packers, at Green Bay. They need to convert a 4th and something to win the game, and the quarterback's running around the edge for a bunch of yards, or they make a pass completion. I'm just like, that is so amazing what they're doing. Can we finally find a way to do that? But it took a few years, down the road. And then all of a sudden, Lamar was our quarterback. And I remember having that. We're sitting in the draft room. We're sitting around the table. We're having the conversation about Lamar Jackson. And I thought to myself, I thought back to what Jim was doing in San Francisco all those years ago, because you can create something different. And I thought, yeah, we'll find a way to do it. This is a generational talent here. Let's try to do something completely different. We'll find a way. But my mind was on his offense. And we basically put that offense in with Lamar and grew it from there, and we're still growing it right now.
Jim, where do the ideas come from? If it's something that's never been done before, are you just like sitting at home?
When you're on a staff in a year, the coaches on your staff, you get in there and you bounce ideas off the board. I mean, who's got an idea? How can we make this idea better? I mean, what if they do this? And we got to have an answer for that. It's that collaboration. To me, especially offensive football, and Jesse's the same way defensively. I see him bring the other coaches into the room, but those coaches on offense, and not just the tight end coach, the quarterback coach, the line coach, the receiver coach, me, but there's guys in there doing analytics and studies, and a great idea can come from an intern coach. It can come from a quality control coach, but you're just bouncing them off each other, and it's
great idea has no rank.
Yeah, great idea. And none of us. Here's another one. None of us is as smart as all of us.
Yeah.
And
that's another good one.
That's where it comes from. It comes in. You kind of get in that engineering something, or scrimmaging over it, or however you want to analogize it, but that's where the magic happens, and it's fun, and it's like it's great when it's humming on all cylinders, and we're all working together, and nobody's like, oh, well, that was my idea, they don't use my idea, or they get bitter or something. Like, let's just get in here and see if we can't come up with a way to make a first down.
All right, we have to let you go, but before we let you go, the Harbaugh Coaching Academy. The reason that you're sitting here is not just because he twisted your arm, right?
That's right.
Why is this meaningful? Why is this a big deal to be a part of? Why are you excited about this mission?
Yeah, John's really inspired me in a lot of ways. I mean, he's a really big picture guy. I mean, I remember when you wrote, Why Football, Football Matters. When you wrote that, I mean, that piece was really inspiring to me. It was inspiring to so many high school football players at the time. And I remember that there's a one magic sentence that you had in there. It was like, have you ever talked to a high school football player who played 4 years of high school football and then regretted it? And like, no. I mean, there's some guys that didn't play high school football that regretted it. And that really stuck with me, and I used that. And it just inspired me, like, hey, football's good. That was at a time when football was really getting heavily criticized, around the country, around the world. Moms afraid to have their kids play football, but football is the greatest team sport there is. I mean, all the things you pointed out, I mean, in ways that it helps you become the best version of yourself. Off the field, on the field, discipline, showing up on time, working hard, all the things that John wrote about. Really, that was inspiring. And now he wants to give back to the coaching community, where people can log on to this. I mean, free. How do I become a coach? What are some coaching points I can give? How do I make a first down? How do I how am I going to be gap sound? How do we cover a kick? How do we protect a punt? How do we motivate? How do we get through to young people that we're coaching, because they want to be good? And he's providing a magnificent avenue for coaches of all experience or ages to be able to research. To be able to go in and research how to be a better coach.
Visit HarbaughCoachingAcademy.org.